Welcome to Space Matrix. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more updates. In a landmark decision that's already making waves across the nation, the U.S. High Court has just struck down the Trump-era tariffs, a move that's shaking up not only the economic and political landscape, but also the daily lives of businesses, workers, and consumers across the country. On August 15, 2025, the court ruled these sweeping tariffs unconstitutional, dismantling a key part of the previous administration's trade policy and sending a clear message about the limits of executive power. The justices found that the president overreached by using national security as a justification for broad economic tariffs, insisting that such measures need clear congressional approval. This ruling reaffirms the vital role Congress plays in shaping the nation's economic direction. This isn't just about one policy, it's a major statement on the separation of powers and could reshape how future presidents handle trade. The decision sets a precedent, reminding leaders that checks and balances are at the core of American democracy. The decision is the result of years of legal battles led by American businesses who argued the tariffs made their products more expensive and less competitive. Many companies, from manufacturers to retailers, have struggled to absorb higher costs, often passing them on to consumers. For nearly a decade, tariffs have raised prices, forced supply chain changes, and strained international relations. American exporters faced retaliatory tariffs, while global partners questioned the reliability of U.S. trade commitments. Now, the court's ruling hits the reset button, opening the door to new trade possibilities and challenges. The immediate impact is uncertainty, as markets and policymakers scramble to adjust to the new legal landscape. But there's also hope for lower prices on everyday goods, more predictable trade relationships, and a renewed sense of stability for American businesses and families alike. The future of American trade policy is suddenly wide open, with new opportunities and tough decisions ahead. As the nation adapts, all eyes are on what comes next in this new era for global commerce. What are tariffs? You might have heard the term in the news or while shopping for imported products, but what does it really mean for you and the global economy? Simply put, tariffs are taxes placed on goods that are brought into a country from abroad. Governments use them to control the flow of products across borders and to generate revenue. When a foreign company sells products in the U.S., the government can add a tariff, making those goods more expensive for American buyers. This extra cost is often reflected in the final price you see at the store. The main goal? To protect American industries and jobs by making locally produced goods more attractive and competitive compared to imports. This can help domestic businesses grow and keep jobs within the country. Tariffs can also serve as powerful tools in international negotiations. Countries may use them to encourage fair trade practices or to push for better deals with trading partners. However, the cost of tariffs usually gets passed down the line, from importers to retailers, and finally, to everyday consumers like you and me. That means higher prices for a wide range of everyday items, from electronics and clothing to groceries and household goods. Even small tariffs can add up over time. Tariffs can also spark retaliation, with other countries imposing their own taxes on American goods. This back and forth can quickly escalate. This tit-for-tat can lead to trade wars, which often hurt businesses, workers, and even entire communities on both sides of the dispute. In the end, tariffs are a double-edged sword, meant to protect local industries but often raising costs for everyone and sometimes causing unintended consequences. The debate over the value of tariffs is as old as trade itself, and it continues to shape economies and policies around the world today. The Trump-era tariffs targeted hundreds of billions in goods, especially steel, aluminum, and Chinese imports. The aim was to protect American industries and bring manufacturing back home. Some sectors, like steel, saw short-term gains, higher prices, and more jobs. But many manufacturers relying on imported materials faced soaring costs, making their products less competitive. Small businesses struggled to absorb these expenses, often passing them to consumers or cutting profits. Everyday Americans paid more for items like washing machines, bikes, and electronics. Retaliatory tariffs from other countries hit U.S. exporters hard, especially farmers. Soybean and pork exports to China plummeted, causing financial pain in rural America. The tariffs' legacy, a divided economy, with winners and many more losers. The court's decision now forces a new direction. The end of these tariffs is a game-changer for American businesses, workers, and consumers. Companies that rely on imports will see costs drop, potentially lowering prices for everything from electronics to furniture. Industries once protected by tariffs like steel now face tougher foreign competition, raising concerns about jobs in those sectors. But for most manufacturers, cheaper inputs could mean growth and new jobs. Consumers stand to benefit the most, with prices expected to stabilize or even fall. This could boost household budgets and ease inflation. Change won't be instant. Supply chains and contracts need time to adjust. Some companies may stick with new suppliers, but the overall trend is toward lower costs. The economic landscape is shifting, and Main Street is at the center of it. The tariff debate is fierce and deeply rooted in American history. Protectionists argue tariffs defend U.S. industries from unfair foreign competition and safeguard national security. They see tariffs as leverage in global negotiations and a way to keep critical manufacturing at home. Free trade advocates counter that tariffs hurt the very economy they're meant to protect. They point to higher consumer prices, less innovation, and the risk of retaliation that damages American exports. For them, prosperity comes from open markets and international cooperation, not trade barriers. The High Court's decision has reignited this debate, with both sides claiming the future. The path forward will test which vision prevails. The world is watching closely as the United States reverses course on tariffs, a move that has sent ripples through the international community. This decision by the U.S. Supreme Court is not just a domestic event, it's a global headline, with governments, businesses, and citizens everywhere paying attention to what comes next. Major trading partners like China and the European Union interpret the ruling as a significant shift toward a more predictable, rules-based system for global trade. For years, uncertainty around tariffs has complicated negotiations and disrupted established trade flows. European leaders are optimistic that this decision could help repair strained transatlantic relations, restore trust, and encourage new waves of investment between the U.S. and Europe. Investors, too, are watching for signs of renewed stability. In Asia, where economies are deeply integrated into global supply chains, the response is one of cautious optimism. While the promise of stability is welcomed, there is still wariness about how quickly the benefits will materialize and whether new uncertainties might arise. Global financial markets have responded positively, with investors anticipating smoother trade, lower costs, and fewer disruptions. The hope is that this ruling will reduce volatility and encourage long-term planning. Commodities like steel and aluminum, which have been at the center of tariff disputes, are now under close watch as prices begin to adjust to the new reality. Producers and buyers alike are recalibrating their expectations. Yet it's important to remember that the world economy has changed dramatically in recent years. Supply chains have shifted, new trade routes have emerged, and some disruptions may be permanent. This decision won't simply return things to the way they were before. Instead, it marks the beginning of a new chapter in international trade, one that will require adaptation and fresh agreements. Internationally, the U.S. is signaling a renewed willingness to cooperate and engage with its partners. However, the next moves, both in policy and diplomacy, will be critical in shaping the future of global commerce. The global adjustment to this new reality is just beginning, and the world will be watching every step as countries, companies, and communities adapt to the evolving landscape of international trade. With tariffs gone, America faces a crossroads in global trade. The administration must unwind complex policies and decide whether to pursue new trade deals or revert to old norms. Congress, newly empowered, may redefine when and how tariffs can be used. The debate over presidential versus legislative power in trade is heating up. America must now choose return to free trade leadership or adopt a more selective strategic approach. The world is watching for signals about U.S. intentions and future alliances. The real test will be how businesses and consumers adapt to this new landscape. The High Court's decision hasn't ended the trade debate, it's just begun a new era.